My name is Jeannie Osnes. I am one of the MAPS executive coaches and also the author of a few courses that I've written with Gary Keller or for MAPS and stuff. So those of you I've never met before, thanks for being here. And I hope I get to meet you live and in person, maybe at Mega Camp next month. Anyway, I just want to talk with you briefly about how to earn more money in real estate. So when I'm talking about earning more money, what I'm really saying is, how do you make sure the money that you're earning is actually going home with you? So my first question would be then, how do you know if you're winning as an entrepreneur in real estate? How do you actually know if you're winning? So the first thing that we always have to look at is, well, what is winning? How would we even define winning anyway? So I want this to be participatory. So if you'd like, take yourself off of mute and just share with us what you would say winning would be. Anybody have something to share?
Business goals.
Say that louder, Joey.
Getting your business goals.
Okay. More business. Anybody else? Say that again.
Oh, I was just going to say netting the money that you want to net.
Yeah, netting the amount of money that you want to net, right? Well, and we have to do more business to net what we want to net. So we've just got to make sure that you know what is winning for you. What is winning for you in your real estate career? One of the things that Gary Keller and I talk a lot about together is winning is also living your life by design rather than by default. And I think the majority of us here can agree that most people get up every day and just take whatever comes their way and just deal with it. And the end of the day, they're exhausted, but they're really not sure what they accomplished. So when we talk about life by design rather than life by default, it's just that it's designing is knowing what you want and how to get it and moving toward that every single day. Knowing what you want and having a plan and moving toward that every day. And we'll unpack these just a little bit more as we go through. Remember, every decision that you make, everything that you do is either moving you toward what you want out of your business and out of your life or away from it. Everything you do is moving you toward what you want or away from it. We're actually never stagnant. People talk about their comfort zone. In reality, your comfort zone means that you're no longer growing and therefore you're decaying. We're never just stagnant right in the middle. So remember, everything you do, every decision you make is moving you toward or away from something. And then also keeping in mind that business is growing or winning would be business also growing to the extent that you want it to grow to. And we hear a lot of talk about, hey, I want a 7th level, or I want to run a team, or I want this or that. What's most important is that you know what you want for your business, and then make sure that we're designing a plan that's actually going to move you toward it. So with that, let's look at this. The top reasons that agents are not successful in real estate or don't run profitable business, like one of you said, netting more. So here's the top 4 reasons. Number 1, they're managing a business for production and not for profit. They're managing for production and not for profit. Now, I've been a coach a long time. I've coached a lot of the top teams in Keller Williams. And I can tell you that I have never to this day ever met anybody and said, what is your goal this year? And the agent tell me what they want to make in profit. They always tell me one of 2 things. It's usually they share with me what their volume goal is, because that's the biggest number and they think it's really impressive. I want to sell, 20 million in volume. Well, your average price point is 2 million. So that means 10 houses. So they talk about volume a lot. And then the other thing they talk about is units, production, my production. I want to sell 150 homes. I want to sell 500 homes. I want to sell 1,200 homes. And what Gary is saying is that one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is your primary focus is on your production versus on your profit. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So focus on production versus profit. Number 2, they're not creating and following a budget. Not creating and following a budget. So we teach that you need to be running a personal budget as well as a business budget. First of all, have a budget. Second, actually sticking to it at the highest level. Number three, the next reason is they're not reviewing their profit and loss and their balance sheet every single month. I often ask, how often do you have a P&L? How often do you look at it? Well, I never look at it. My CPA takes care of that. And I can appreciate that, but the CPA looks at a profit and loss from a very different reason that a business owner might look at it. So when we're looking at it every single month, any expenditures that we're paying for that we don't need anymore, or maybe we no longer need, or we're overpaying for, we can make corrections immediately rather than find out 6 months from now, oh, we're still paying for that. So we got to make sure that we're looking at our budget and our P&L every single month. And then the next reason, or the next thing is that they're spending all of their profit. They're spending all their profit, not thinking strategically about how to reinvest into their business to increase their profits further. So what that means is having a plan, not, oh, I've got this extra money, I'm going to go out and buy this widget or subscribe for this product or whatever that might be. It's being intentional about laying out a plan as to how you're going to take some of your profit and reinvest it into your business. So here's a couple notes that I wrote down. When you focus on production or profit versus production, that means having a why behind earning the GCI that you intend to earn. Now, the vast majority of people I've ever talked to about getting their real estate license, I've never had anybody tell me I got my license so that I can just stay even in life and keep a lid on my income. What I hear is I want more freedom. I want to be able to make more money. I want to grow my own business, things like that. And so we've got to make sure that there's actually a purpose and a why. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to make more money? Why do you want to grow a team? Because when we actually have that purpose behind the profit that we want to create, that will drive us to do the right activities that will actually support those goals. So your first takeaway from this could be, why am I doing what I'm doing? Because if you're just doing it to stay even, you should probably just go get a job and somebody will just pay you. And plus they'll give you, vacation and maybe a 401k. So focus on profit. What is the profit that I want to make? And then you can reverse engineer those numbers to know, excuse me, well, then therefore, this is the production that I need or the volume that I need in order to create that profit for me. Again, have a personal and a business budget, and then do not cheat it. Now, in the course Profit Camp that Gary Keller and I wrote together, we have detailed instructions in there as to how to come up with a personal budget as well as a business budget. And what I often hear is, I don't want to have to operate from a budget. It feels too confining. I want more freedom than that. And actually, when you're working off of a budget, it actually gives you more freedom rather than less. It also gives you less angst and heartache because you're not going to be surprised by that Amex bill when you open it at the end of the month. So learning to live off of a personal and a business budget. Another reason that agents are not as profitable as they can be is because they're not managing their cost of sale. And quite frankly, I mean, I've heard Gary Keller say this numerous times, is that far too often we're allowing ourselves to be handcuffed by the agents on our team who are demanding a higher split. So the goal is for your business is to have 30% cost of sale, 30% expenses, 40% profit. And yet we hear this a lot, buyer agents, listing agents, hey, I've done this and this, or I've been here a certain amount of time, I should be able to get a higher split. Well, that hasn't changed since MREA first came out. Gary still recommends 30% cost of sale, 30% expenses, 40% profit. So that's also why Gary talks about, hold your administrative team really tight, take care of them, base them low, bonus them high, give them opportunity, lift the lid for them, and your agents, hold them loosely. We want to take care of them, but agents will come and go, whereas your staff actually wants a chair to sit in for as long as they possibly can. So not being handcuffed or held kind of captive by agents that are demanding a split. That's again, going back to the managing your expenses, making sure that you're keeping those as a maximum of 30%. So here's another thing that I've heard Gary say often. Quit taking advice from each other unless you've seen each other P&L. Unless you've seen their profit and loss, then quit taking advice from those agents. So too many agents out there, they look like they're doing really, really well. In reality, they may not be hardly making any net profit at the end. And in fact, they might actually be losing money. So be very careful about cost of sale, your expenses, and then taking advice, getting the new shiny widget that everybody else in the market center is getting that may or may not give you the return that you're looking for. So Gary has said that the cost of your bad habits is your future. The cost of your bad habits is your future, and your outcomes in life are often the lag measures of your habits. So at Keller Williams, we talk a lot about lead measures and lag measures. Lead measures are the activities that you do in order to create the lag measures or the results that you want. So lead measures, if I was looking to get into better shape, lead measures might be controlling my diet, working out, joining a gym, hiring a personal trainer. Those are lead measures. Those are the activities that I'm doing. Lag measures might be, how do my clothes fit? What is the scale telling me? What is a tape measure telling me? That would be the lag measures. So what are the habits that we have? What are the habits that we may have in our life that we need to kind of rewire those habits because they're not giving us the future that you want? Our spending or our lack thereof is directly related to our habits, whether it's in business or whether it's in your personal life. So what are your spending habits? Are you holding everyone accountable, or are you holding every hard-earned dollar that you're making accountable for moving you toward your goals versus away from your goals? Every dollar that you spend or keep is either moving you towards your goals or away from your goals. And here's an illustration that I use in Profit Camp a lot, is that if any of you saw like a $5 bill on the sidewalk, would you stop and pick it up? I've never had anybody say, no, I just keep walking. It's not worth it to stop and pick it up, $5 bill. And yet we will blow $5, $15, $20, $50 easily, not really give much thought to it. We will get rid of 40, 50 bucks, but we're going to stop and pick up a $5 bill. What if we held our money accountable every time it's coming out of your wallet or out of your credit card, that we're holding it accountable? Is this moving me toward my goals or away from my goals? So are the habits that you have powerful enough, or the goals that you have powerful enough to cause you to change your ingrained habits to new ones that actually support your goals? So here's another way of asking this that Tony DeCello used to ask all the time. What are you not doing that if you were doing would have a significant impact on your business? What are those that you're watching that have been very successful in real estate? What are they doing that you're not doing that would have an impact on your business? Here's another way of looking at this. What are you doing too much of that if you would stop it to refocus your attention on the right lead measures, what would we see as a result? That's a question I ask almost every week in coaching, is what are you doing that you need to stop doing so that you can focus on the things that you know that you should be doing? So again, we're talking about the habits. Habits can be broken, or habits can continue to be solidified. So what is driving you? That going back to that focusing on production or profit versus production, what is behind your profit goals? Because that will help to drive those right activities, create the new habits that will actually predict what your future is going to look like. So if you're selling real estate in order to just pay your bills, you're a real estate agent. If you're selling real estate to fulfill your purpose and have a life worth living, you're now actually running a business. So how can you ensure that you're running a business versus just being a real estate agent? So what have then, we talk a lot in Keller Williams about success leaves clues, right? So what have those that have grown big real estate businesses done that perhaps you should be doing? So I've got 6 things for you that I hear across the board with some of the highest producing agents. Number 1, they hold every dollar accountable. There is no frivolous spending, whether it's in their personal life or in their business life. Now, when I say frivolous, what I mean by that is they're not going outside of their budget. They're still having fun. They're still going out. They're doing meals and entertainment and vacations and stuff, but it's actually by design rather than just, I don't know, what do you want to do? Let's whip out the credit card. So holding every dollar accountable to having that life worth living, which is why you're doing real estate to begin with, to have the life worth living rather than a life by design. The second thing that the highest producing agents across the board, they do, they have a solid GPS and a 411, which really helps to give clarity to your yearly, your monthly, your weekly, and your daily activities that are needed to move you toward your desired outcome. The GPS feeds the 411, and the 411 feeds the schedule. And like Gary says, we're not in the business of selling real estate, we're in the business of following our schedule. And if you can create a winning schedule that supports your goals, your habits will follow as a result. Third thing that I see across the board, agents that are highly successful, they lead with revenue. They play red light, green light. So they also know the return on their investment on everything, whether it's the people they're in business with or products that they're subscribing to or purchasing. They know the ROI that they're looking for. And if they're not getting it, they get rid of those things. Number 4, they plan for reinvesting into their business. They don't hope and pray and want maybe one day if we have enough money, we can do this. They actually bake that into their business plan. We need to do a certain amount of production because we're focusing on that profit, like we talked about at the beginning. We're focusing on that profit so that when we have that profit, we can reinvest it into our business. It might be making another hire. It might be a new lead generation source. It might be buying into the market center and buying investment property. Whatever that is, the successful entrepreneurs in real estate, they are planning very strategically how to and when to reinvest into their business. Number 5, they fully go through the CV process and they don't cheat any of it. Go through that CV process, KPA the people, make sure that they're actually a fit. So I know that the KPA is 25% of our decision making. And yet I can tell you that it's an incredible, powerful tool to make sure that you're getting the right person in the right seat on your bus as a real estate owner. So often I see, well, I'm going to hire Joanne over here to be my director of operations. Now, she's not really good at this and this and this, but she's really good at these things. So I'm just going to have so-and-so do these things, but have Joanne do this thing. So now what we're doing is we're adjusting the job description to fit the person. We should adjust the person to fit the job description. So going through the CV process helps you to determine, is this the right person for this position? They might be lovely, high integrity, incredible human beings, but if they're not the right person for the position, then that train eventually wrecks gloriously. So don't cheat the CV process. And here's where most people cheat it. They don't go 3 deep on the reference checks. They don't go 3 deep. They're not calling the references sometimes at all. And they're not asking, who else do you know that perhaps I should be talking to? Now, why it's so important to make sure you're doing that is because I'm never going to give you references that I think are going to talk smack about me, right? But I might know somebody, or you might know somebody, or whoever the reference is might, well, I don't know if you've talked to whoever. Bill used to work with Jeannie a lot. Maybe you should talk to Bill, see what kind of input Bill might have. So, and then we ask Bill, who else do you know? So getting 3 deep, because when you get 3 deep on your references, you're really going to start to know and understand the potential talent you're thinking of hiring at a deeper level. And then number 6, what they do is they also quickly get out of business with anything or anyone that is not moving them toward what they actually desire or their goals for their business and their life. Getting out of business with products, with subscriptions, or with people that are not, or maybe no longer moving them toward what they actually want out of their business. So those are the 6 things that highly successful real estate agents do to grow a big business. So the question for you is your compensation plan with who you're doing business or who you're giving the leads to actually destroying your profit? This is about that cost of sale that I was talking about before. So is the compensation plan for those that are on your team, or those that the agents on your team that you give leads to, are they destroying your profit because your cost of sale is too high? I look at a lot of profit and loss statements because that's what I actually specialize in as a coach. And I've looked at, I don't know, thousands of them. And I can tell you probably 90% of them that are not profiting as much as they'd like to, it's because of their cost of sale. It's because of their cost of sale. That's also why Gary Keller recommends that we have at least a 50-50 business, 50% sellers, 50% buyers. Because the listing people on your team should be at a lower split than the buyer agents on your team, which is also going to help reduce your cost of sale. And if you want to know more about that, because we go through this in depth with exercises in Profit Camp to explain exactly why that is and how you can protect that, there is a Profit Camp that's coming up, which I've got a slide for us for the date of it here coming pretty soon. So just to recap a few things before we maybe open it up for some questions and answers. What are the things that you should be doing that you're not, that would actually create you to, I call it earn or make more money? You can earn your way to making more by simply controlling your cost of sale and your expenses. I've worked with a lot of teams that they didn't have to do any more in production in order to have their life by design. They just needed to reduce the expenses and the cost of sale. You know, I like that saying, when you're cutting expenses, cut the fat, not the bone. So we don't want to cut things that are vital to our business. But in almost every profit and loss that I've looked at, there's a little bit of fat in there. There's some things that we really don't need. It's either things that maybe we don't use anymore, or perhaps what it is it's something that we use, but we can get it less expensive somewhere else, or it's things that are actually bringing us a profit. So don't cut the things that are actually creating that profit for you. So starting with focus on your profit versus production. Of course, we've got to know your production numbers, but focus on the profit first. What profit do you want to make? And then we're going to hold every dollar accountable to make sure you are actually netting more money in the end, maybe without even having to increase your production. So is your compensation plan with whom you give your hard-earned leads to and your reputation for the company that you've built, is it actually destroying your profit? Or is maybe that credit card destroying your profit with paying for too many things or unneeded things in expenses that we need to get under control? All right, so with that, if anybody wants to, I'd like you to take yourself off mute and let's just ask a question or two, and then I'll put up the slide here with the Profit Camp date here just a moment. So anybody have a question or a comment they'd like to share?
I do. Jeannie, what's your standard ROI for your like red light, green light? Hey, if I'm making $4 for every dollar I spend, is that an acceptable number, or is it higher or lower?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to kind of wide brush stroke this at first. I'm always going to say a minimum of 4 to 1. Always a 4. If I'm going to pay $1, I want to get four in return. So am I getting a 4 to 1 return? Now, that being said, that's just the wide brush stroke. If I'm going to do something that I know that the team that I help run, the majority of their business, over 70% of it, comes from their past client in Sphere. So they're PCSOI. So I'm going to demand a higher return because I know that it's out there. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting a higher return on that I'm pouring into my Sphere and my past clients than I might be on, you know, a new widget that we're going to look into. But it's always going to be a minimum of a 4 to 1, including every staff member on the team.
Perfect.
If they can't increase our income as a result of having on their team, then we don't need that person on our team.
Gotcha. Just out of curiosity, because 63% of my business came from my past customers and clients last year. So what is the higher barometer that you have for that specific team? Just so I can try to gauge, see where I'm at in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I know that we get about a 50-to-1 return on our PCSOI. Now, not every event am I looking for that, but I am looking collectively over the year to make sure that whatever we're spending on our past clients in Sphere is actually bringing us that kind of return. And so some of the stop gates that are kind of put up as a result is, why are we doing that? And are we really going to get business out of it? It might be helping us in the community, but I want to make sure everything we're doing is in somehow not only giving back to our community, but also increasing our business. So what I do see is, you know, I'm buying a bunch of, I'm just going to make something up. I'm buying magnets to send them to all my PCSOI. Are you really going to get a return on that? Or should we maybe even spend a little bit more money, but as a result, we're going to get referrals out of it? Things like that. Does that help?
Yeah, very much. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? I'm going to go ahead and change the slide up here so that you can see when our next profit camp is. Any other comments, questions?
Hey, Jeannie, it's Corey Lynn. I just popped the profit camp information into the chat as well, if anybody is interested in looking at that.
Great. Thank you for that. That was Corey Lynn from MAPS. So thank you, Corey Lynn, for helping us. Okay, we got another minute or two. Anybody else? Comments, questions? Oh, I see other things in chat. I haven't looked at those. Oh, career visioning. Thank you, Joey. CV is career visioning. All right, well, if there's no other comments or questions, I hope to see all of you at Profit Camp. We have so many people that have gone through it multiple times. It says it's actually completely changed the way that they're doing business. And I would love to be able to share more and more of that kind of stuff with you and help you to create that life by design. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being here. Make it a great day. Have a great rest of your week.